And welcome back. Tonight on Opinion Court, President Uhuru Kenyatta stole the show for the first time since he famously shook hands with bitter rival Raila Odinga on the steps of Harambee House. The president today defended his unity pact with the opposition leader. The head of state appeared to read the Riot Act to dissenters in both camps, telling them not only is the pact here to stay, they will be welcoming more people to join them. The statement is bound to send shockwaves in political circles as the president appeared to agree with everything Raila had to say, that this is not about 2022, it's about the future of Kenya. Listen to what President Kenyatta said earlier.
Nataka nimshukuru ndugu yangu vile amesema hapa, tulitafutana tukakaa na tukakubaliana ya kwamba tofauti ya siasa kando, Kenya ni muhimu zaidi kushinda mtu yeyote, na hatuwezi kuendelea kugombana. Na najua ni wengi ambao hawakufurahia vile tulifanya. Tunajua tu, tunasikiza huko na huko, hata wengine upande yangu, hata wengine upande yake. Hivyo ndivyo ukweli, kwa sababu they thrive when there is commotion. Lakini sisi tukasema, we do not want those people who thrive in commotion. We want those who will thrive in peace and prosperity. That is the direction that we wish and desire for our people.
And so we're welcoming on the show for the first time in a really long time, Legislator Moses Kuria. Karibu.
Thank you, Anne.
Umekuwa wapi?
Well, building the nation. Different ways.
Oh, okay. Yeah. On my left is Herman Manyora, who is a political analyst. Welcome to the show. And of course, Edward Kisangani, our resident political analyst. Let's start with the guest. What do you think of what the president said?
Well, not news to me. Personally, that's the way I understood it from the beginning. And I think as a member of parliament, as a member of budget committee, we are already reaping the benefits of the handshake. Just yesterday, we got the big announcement about our prospects for the growth, 5.8% this year, after a very sluggish 4.7% last year. So it can only be described as a good thing. And, you know, we are now going to focus on what's most important thing, that is to build this country and to build the economy and to create jobs and to improve the welfare of the people. That's what any person, you know, who is, you know, who loves this country, any sensible person, that's what they would want to do.
It's clear to you, but clearly the president says he's well aware that it's not clear to many others from both sides of the what was a divide.
Certainly, you're not. It's part of the change process, and that's really the essence of leadership. That, you know, the president set the tone by actually going to showing the country this is where we want to go. It is only normal to give people time to adjust to reality. Some people get it quick, others don't get it quick.
You better be. Yeah. There are some slow learners.
Yeah, slow learners. I mean, they're bad people, okay, essentially.
Fine. Hamad, you know, it's striking how he talks about those who thrive in chaos, you know, in both sides, in both camps. To whom do you think he was referring?
I think before that, I also want to agree with Moses Kuria that the handshake, the benefits are beginning to show. And quickly in that breath, I want to ask Moses Kuria to make us at the university also share in that handshake, so that we end this strike. Can you tell them to give us something small so that we also enjoy the handshake, okay, as we teach our students and go back to class? It is true, Anne, that whenever you have a political context, whether it is directly during elections or the build-up to elections, there are always camps. And there are always people who, as in normal human interactions, there are always people who will come to you to tell you about somebody else, then you make them a cup of tea, you know, and then they go, you give them some pocket money. The same is played at a higher level in politics, where you will have people, so long as Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are in constant conflict, politically, of course,
they benefit.
There will be people who will benefit. So when there is a ceasefire, many people are likely to suffer, because, you know, this is an industry. So the
Politics is
yeah, it's an industry, and there are those who run out of business. So I understand what the president means. Of course, without mentioning names, there are some people who are directly more affected by the handshake than others. And I think it is only fair that they give these two people a chance so that, like Kuria says, Kenyans can begin reaping the benefit of the handshake. And remember what I've sent you to tell the president and the other people.
Prof, please don't talk about your salary.
Handshake, just handshake.
No, I forget about Manyora. He's looking at me. I think when you look at about 3 weeks ago, we on this show and we discussed and we agreed that we shall know the signals of this handshake very soon by the way the two leading politicians in the country behave. And the signals now have started showing. First of all, the president has sent an earthy tremor to some of his supporters and close allies. And in the similar mood as if it was arranged, Raila too has talked about it. So now we know that the two leaders are saying they want to free themselves from their supporters, especially supporters who promote hostility between the two of them. So I think as a citizen of this country, I find this very, very interesting, but also very good for our country. Honorable Moses Kuria has just told me that and he's repeated it, that they are now reaping the fruits. The bottom line about leadership is to help our country move to the next level. And a few people, a lot of people, not even a few, were doubting that this handshake would bear fruit. But now that the president is also saying it's not about 2022, it also demonstrates that the president knows that in 2022 he will not be in power, so he's not doing it for 2022. But Raila Odinga also, it seems to me, that he has completely given up. He's not going to stand for elections in 2022. This is my interpretation of the situation. But going forward, I think it was a positive thing, especially being spoken at the place that it was spoken, where we were celebrating the life of one of the leading multi-party crusaders in this country. And so therefore the president gave the correct signal, and I'm very comfortable with that signal. All right.
You know, you've often opined on this show that the people it takes to gain power are not the same that it takes to keep power. And you're now smiling as if you're not the guy who usually says that. You have.
Yes,
and I wonder, because out of this statement, and some will tell you that even at the point that they were making this decision to shake hands, even insiders had no idea what was going on. It was as much a surprise to them as it was to the rest of the republic. And, you know, we have through post the election in the first days of this administration, its second term, heard from political insiders that you're going to see a different president in the second term. And a lot of it has been rather brash and chest-thumping kind of talk. But it does appear that we're seeing a different president, but not even in the way that some of his advisors had expected. Is that positive?
Let me say this, that it's not a different president. I think what we are seeing now is version 1.01, you know, the factory settings, if I put it that way. And I'm saying this, you know.
Factory settings, not even 2.0.
No, this is a factory setting. This is the original, you know, version of the president. And if you really want to know about this presidency, you just have to look at the years between 2009 and 2011, when the president was actually the Minister for Finance. And the things that he did as a Minister for Finance, and you know, remember the economic stimulus programs, you know, wonderful things that we are still, you know, even today, as I'm a member of the budget committee, and we are still even, we passed a budget, or we tabled a budget, supplementary budget today, which is completing some of the markets, for example, you know, some of the markets, Karatina, I don't know, Chaka, and so.
They were part of that
stimulus package. So it means that people are still demanding, because, you know, our people are not crazy to ask for things to be completed if they never made sense. So I'm seeing that every day for the president counts. Every day counts. You know, as part of his legacy. You know, it is 85th minute in the game. and you know, it's still 0-0 somehow. And you know, he needs to win the game. I need to wrap it up, you know. So I'm looking at it from his perspective, you know.
Yeah.
The last thing you want. And you remember, every time that this country has had non-divisive politics, we always win. We always win, and we win big time. And maybe you've seen people there. I don't want to believe, to you know, buy this school of thought that there's anybody who enjoys division. I think it's an unfortunate thing that's thrust on us as Kenyans. And what does it, you know, it's not fun, you know, that I only 2 weeks ago I went to Homa Bay and met some very warm people. Not new, because of the people I knew before these divisions came by. But it was refreshing and something good, you know, to be able to go there and socialize with these people and really, you know, enjoy the oneness of humanity. So
Moses, you're one of the people who during the electioneering period said some of the things.
This was not a church sermon, okay? This was politics, okay? And politics,
that's what it takes to gain power. That's
politics. This is competitive politics for you, okay? But don't be fooled by such. All these people, we are all one, you know. And the minute Kenyans will know that, beyond the insults and the name calling, we'll retreat to, you know, to the big hotels and the bars, and you know, we'll, you know, give each other a bear hug and say, hey, ulinitukana leo, eh? So it's really, you know, something good when we can be able to actually do in public what we do in private, because in private we are really one thing. We are together, and we really laugh at you guys.
Moses, you have mellowed down, and that is also good for this handshake. Because sometimes, you know, we used to disagree so much, and you
backslide.
No, don't backslide. In fact, you are on the right track. So I think that what you have observed is correct. This is the way to go. But the two leaders are aware that there are people who don't want peace. And I think Anne has asked, who are these? I don't think we can mention names, but we know that there are people who didn't want even this handshake to take place. And for some of them, they were targeting 2022. And there has been discussion about 2022. Some people have felt unhappy. Others have accused others of night meetings. I think what the President Kenyatta is doing with the Honorable Raila Odinga is this, that if you want to rule Kenya, I think this is the message you're giving. If you want to rule Kenya, you must accommodate all Kenyans. And they are saying they will be there even in 2022 and beyond, to make sure that whoever takes power in 2022 is a person who can unite the republic. Haman? I think that's what is they are passing.
Today Moses Kure is saying all the good things, but he has not responded to my challenge. That he'll do later.
I'll come to that.
When you give him the next round. But it is true, Moses, you can go to Homa Bay and the oneness of humanity, and that you people are the same. That would have been true, except that in the process of your interactions and purporting to hit at each other, a number of Kenyans died. So those who lost loved ones would actually be shocked to hear that it was just all games and so on. Well, it is true, politics is a game, but you see, there is politics going on. Even as you tell us there's no politics, there's a lot of politics going on. And 2022 cannot just be about these things we are talking about. So let's see how it shapes up.
Well, let's listen to what Raila Odinga had to say on the very subject.
2022 will come and go. We are thinking beyond 2022. As Raila has said, there will be 2022, there will be 27, there will be 2020s mpaka ifike 3,000. Tunaelewana? Let us leave these politics aside.
Does that not persuade you, Anyora?
You know,
there will always be an election.
Definitely there will be Kenya up to 20, 32, 30 something and 40, 50 and so on. But the truth is we must first face 2022. And if you look at the way they seem to be warding off some claim about 2022, it's like they are fighting off something that why are people talking about 2022? If it was something as simple, they wouldn't even be talking about it with that kind of energy. That tells you there is a lot of 2022 around in that handshake. I think I've said here before. Moses Kuria would know better than us. I think there is a lot of 2022 and there are going to be casualties.
Do you agree with Prof's assertion that it is about who is the safe pair of hands then?
You see, politics is about interests. And I think these two gentlemen, perhaps a third one could be in between there, like I've said before. These three gentlemen could be seeing what is in the best interest first of the three of them. Some people have called them families, others have called them dynasties, but whatever they are, Israela, Uhuru, Moi, and so on and so forth. What is in their interest first, and of course, remotely thereafter, what is in the interest of the country. And therefore, they are looking at somebody who will first be somebody who will serve their interests, and secondly, perhaps then, in serving their interest, you bring in the country. So if you are Uhuru Kenyatta and you are looking at a future outside State House where you are peaceful, then you are also looking at who can guarantee that. And maybe you are looking aside, the guy next to you doesn't seem to inspire that kind of confidence. And therefore, there's a lot of 2022, whether we like it or not.
Moses.
You know, I get amused about this topic of 2022. But for avoidance of doubt, I just want to say two things. One, we have a culture of multi-party democracy in this country for 26 years now. Yeah? Today, you know, we were bidding goodbye to Matiba, our father of multi-party politics, you know. And since that first election in December of 1992, every 5 years, without fail, you know, among some of the rarest democracies which have done it consistently, we go to polls and we vote for leaders, we vote for our president. So it's not going to be an exception in 2022. There is going to be an election. It is not for Raila or anyone or the president or me or Manyola or Professor Kisiangani to say there is going to be voting on the first Tuesday of August 2022, and every Kenyan will have a right to vote for
whomever they want.
Whomever they want, from MCA to president. So that is not in dispute. And no one, you know, and I hear what Prof is saying about safe pair of hands. No, he is right. But unfortunately, that decision is not with the president, and it's not with Raila. It is with the Kenyan people, who they have cherished that tradition of every 5 years going to the polls and voting for their leaders. So what we are saying is, let us not talk about politics, or let's not talk about campaigns now, but whether we want it or not, because we have a constitution which we give to ourselves in the year 2010. There's going to be an election in 2022. What we do with it? No. So people are talking with Eric when the president is saying, let's not talk about 2022, like there's not going to be an election. Far from it. Uhuru knows, Raila knows that on the first Tuesday of August, second Tuesday of August, 2022, there's going to be an election. Second thing, and this is where now I put the caveat. Every time we go for elections in this country, and I was there, I've been in enough of those. I remember 2007, I spent 4 days without sleeping at KICC. In 2013, I spent 4 days without sleeping at Bomas. 2017, I spent almost a week
again. You want to sleep is your point? You want to sleep is your point?
My point is that how come in other countries we vote today and tomorrow people go to work? That's what we want to see in 2022. That we go and vote, and after voting, even those who can, they go to their chambers, people can open their businesses, Manyola goes to the university, Kisiangani goes to the university, and the following day, imetangazwa. You know, like a normal day. But this culture of every 5 years, we are putting the country on a remote control. That because now we were voting. Can't we have a culture whereby election is just going to be just another event and the country moves on? I think that's what the president and the Honorable Raila Odinga are saying, that when we vote in 2022, be assured that Kenya is safe and go back to your workstation the following day.
Yes, but there will be shepherding the safety. The question that we need to ask on this show is this: is it possible for anybody, given the last few couple of weeks, where the way the honorable former prime minister has been moving from President Kibaki, President Moi, and then seeing other people, and you have seen from the president's argument, they will bring more people on board. Is it possible to imagine a rebel against this handshake winning the election in 2022? This is a question we should be asking, even 2026. What these guys are doing, the two gentlemen, are building a certain alliance which will probably approve, as it were. My brother was talking about an envelope and somebody inside an envelope. I don't know how many people can fit in an envelope, but there is a certain dispensation with a certain value system which will be approved by this gentleman and a few other people who will join them. And that is how they will determine the way the leadership of this country is going. So the rebels in both camps, they have been put on notice to either shape up or ship out.
And what is shaping up?
Joining them.
Join the handshake.
Yeah, join the handshake in terms of promoting peace. In terms of promoting peace and in terms of depoliticizing our environment to create a conducive environment to achieve, the Big Four and other agenda.
What do you think? Let me ask you a question. What do you think the deputy president's role is in that respect?
The deputy president's role is not a question of my feelings.
Well, I didn't ask for your feelings. I asked what you think. What you think his role is in supporting that? He is the principal assistant
to the president. Today he spoke before the president. He was the first one to, even before the president, to talk about the handshake and bringing people together. I don't know why you are not asking me about the role of the Honorable Najib Balala in the handshake.
Because Najib Balala has, let me answer you, because Najib Balala has not declared interest in the 2022 presidency, which the deputy president has on various occasions.
And what the president is saying,
not that is a crime.
What the president is saying, and the prime minister is saying, the former prime minister is saying, is that they are not. The handshake is not for removing. It's not for delegitimization of ambitions. People will continue their ambitions, and 2022 is real. It's real. It will happen. It's not for me and you. It's in the Constitution. The essence of handshake and the 2022 are mutually exclusive. We are saying that people will go campaign, look for votes. Maybe these guys have got ambitions to vie for Senator of Bugoma, Senator Kisiangani. How do you know? Simply because he's not declaring that he doesn't want it. But what we are saying is, can we be able to tone down on our politics? But if someone is imagining that is going to remove the reality of 2022, no. We are politicians and we will offer ourselves for election when that time comes.
Okay. Let's listen to what the deputy president had to say. Not today, yesterday, though. He was responding, of course, to the debate around constitutional amendments, particularly responding to Raila Odinga. Listen.
Whether we are looking at expanding the executive or we are looking at entrenching devolution, these are issues that can be prosecuted without engaging in billion-shilling referenda. There are issues we can sort out without reference to any referendum. These are issues we can deal with. And in any case, if there is going to be a suggestion on arranging or rearranging devolution, good people, it cannot be creating another layer. It should be taking the counties to the wards.
Okay, so I mean, let's get it clear that this will no longer even be a discussion about the merit or demerit of what the Prime Minister's proposal was and whether the Deputy President's, estimations on that are right or not, that it boils down to politics. Because, Manyora, you'll remember Amos Wako's letter when things seemed to be slowing around the handshake, saying very quickly that there should have been, moves towards constitutional amendments which were agreed on as part of the handshake. Does it appear to you that the handshake was very much about what Raila proposed as he spoke to governors and this expanded government, if you like, to accommodate everyone?
For the avoidance of doubt, if I may borrow Kuria's, which he had borrowed from the lawyers, the handshake is about politics. Anything else is subordinate to politics. When we say we want to develop this country, when we mention the big four, which to me is really laughable, whatever it is we want to do, we can only do that first after fixing our politics. And that's what the handshake is about. The handshake is about
Fixing
politics. And one of the things that is going to be done, if this is going to be realized, is going to be a relook at the Constitution and to make some changes and make some new provisions. If that will be about reorganizing devolution, if it will be about the structure of the executive, these things should be done, and the Deputy President should be informed that the Constitution itself provides for methods of amendments. That you amend the Constitution through Parliament, except for certain protected clauses, which can only be amended through a referendum. So if in the process of looking at the Constitution, those changes will require a referendum, the Deputy President can do nothing about it. That's what I'm saying. But this is about politics. And the way I see this thing being done, you cannot realize this handshake without a shake-up of the Constitution.
But
Period.
must that shake-up be about, I suppose, creating positions for persons as opposed to looking for structures to improve good governance and other issues? I mean, is the point of the handshake that if it will result in peace, regardless of what the cost will be, never mind the fact that we keep saying we cannot afford the size of our bloated government, let's add on as many layers as it will take to make everyone peaceable enough.
I think people are not quite understanding this. For example, when people say you introduce something between the national government and the county government, a third tier there, like Raila is saying, whatever it will be, that you are bloating government. No, it's not just you superimpose it on top of what there is. It's a whole re-engineering. The whole philosophy, how you look at those things, the rearrangement, it will be completely rearranged. So it's not that simple.
No, you
get it.
Amani, you don't know what will happen. Yes. So when you say, are you the chief priest of this?
But I'm saying this. No, you're not getting it. You're not
rearrangement.
You're not getting it. Listen.
I know
just half a second. Half a second. If you say you want to introduce regional governments, okay, and we now have county governments, definitely there's no way you are going to have county governments in the form in which they exist today and then create the regional governments.
You see,
you'll have to change something.
You see, this is basic to any student of history and political science. What people should be talking about is whether we want a unity government, a federal government, and or a hybrid. And so to talk about whether it's county or sub-county, are we speaking the spirit of federalism or are we speaking the spirit of
Of course,
unity?
people want to
yes.
People want
if you talk about federalism,
people want an arrangement
or a confederation,
which they are looking back at 1963, the Majimbo system we have, and many people are saying it could have worked for us. And then people are looking at the Bomas draft and saying the provision in the Bomas draft regarding the structure of, in terms of the federal government, people fear because it was coming with the name Majimbo. Majimbo was reminding people of the 1963 up to 1960 before that thing disappeared. So the people made compromises. But instead of the Majimbo, really, they came up with this county as a compromise.
Let's go back to this disagreement. Yes. I think that is critical. I think both of them are right. Deputy President and of course Raila Odinga, both of them are right, but they are also wrong. The reason is this: Raila Odinga's suggestion that we introduce the third tier fails to address the main problems we have in this country. We have problems of provision of medical services. We have problems of corruption in this country, where public resources are misused. We have problems of poverty. Now, this food security is the provision of a third tier of government going to solve these problems. Any constitutional amendment must tally with the problems this country has. If he can persuade us that by introducing the third tier we can deal with these problems, then we do it. But probably he thinks the constitution should be amended, but he doesn't know what should be amended. If I were to be hired by him for a day, I would tell him that one of the things that needs to be amended is to increase the power of Senate. Senate can be used to equalize the crisis of what? Tribalism. Because if you know how the Americans do, that at the lower house you can vote as many MPs as possible. You come up with a bill that hurts Kisiangani and his clan. But in Senate, even if Manyora has several MPs at the lower level, in Senate representation is equal, only one or two. So therefore we can deal with the tribalism. So if I were to suggest changes, I would go, what do we have as a problem? Tribalism. How do we deal with it in terms of structure of government? Let us give power to Senate so that the Senate can check bills from the National Assembly.
And Prof, everything you're saying is important, but like I posed earlier,
yes.
is the reality, is what we are seeing now not evidence that whatever amendments are, it seems now, going to come one way or another, it won't be so much about good governance like you're talking and promoting things that would better ensure that we solve our problems or Kenyans are governed in a better fashion. That really it will be about creating positions.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying, that probably his idea that we must make amendments is right. We can check, but when he proposes the amendments, you start feeling unhappy. Now, on the side of Deputy President William Ruto, yes, it is true that there are certain things that can be done by Parliament, but there are others which are beyond the scope of Parliament. So when you listen to the Deputy President, he talks as if he thinks an attack on the executive is likely to hurt his interests. But you know that 2022, as Moses Kuria is talking, has not come, and we don't know who is going to win. It will be a contest. So if he wins, fair. If he doesn't win, another Kenyan will be in power. So this country will not be under foreigner. So really, they shouldn't personalize any changes in the constitution to help pursue particular interests and create jobs for the boys and girls.
On this issue of the change of constitution or the changing of the structure of government, and I think I want to agree with your question that it's all about creating positions for the boys and for few people out there. I am consider myself the father of something which I can see my good friend Dr. Ekuru Okot has picked up, called Punguza Mzigo. That between Senate and National Assembly we have got 410 of us. It looks like an illegal gathering sometimes. Actually, we are so many, that with the 1,000 nominated MCAs, 1,000 nominated MCAs, 1,000 doing nothing. 1,000 just wake up. They have no constituency. They have no one to answer to. 1,000 of them, on top of the 1,450 who are actually elected, as MCAs. You look at the Senate and how many nominated senators we have. The duplications we have, we already, this Wanjiko is already overburdened enough without adding more positions. However, it is not bad in essence to expand the executive if we are going to achieve unity, which unity is going to ensure that we are able to grow our economy fast. And for me, as they say in America, it's about the economy stupid. For me, that's the bottom line, right. Because people don't eat politics. My people of Gatondo, they're asking me, after all that talk, what is in it for us? I mean, that's legitimate. So if anything is going to help us, to achieve some economic progress, then that's good. What's wrong is people hiding behind, all funny schemes to come and change the constitution to achieve what they could not achieve from the front door, they achieved through the back door of the constitution. And we are aware of that. The second thing is, I was with Raila and Orengo and all these people in 1994, sitting at Ufungamano, when we formed the CNC, Citizens for National Convention. And from that time, in 1994, until today, we have changed the constitution and changed again, sang the same song. 2010 is not even 10 years ago. We want to go back there and change. More so, we've just come from a very 2017. No one can lie to you that there is any meaningful work that happened in this country. We wore our campaign shirts. We were out there. We didn't work for our constituencies. We didn't work for this country. And the report card came out. Growth nosedived because we were all busy politicking. Now, when we are supposed to pick up from the crabs and start now trying to rebuild what we lost, we now start putting the country again in a campaign mode. Excuse me, even if you put that position, how is it helping our people down there? So we're saying, whereas essentially, I am not opposed to, personally, to expansion of the executive. But to get this country now back to campaign mode when we're saying now, let us build 1 million houses. Let us ensure that everybody can put food on the table. Let us ensure that everybody can get decent housing. Let us ensure that poor or rich, everyone can afford, medical care because they have got the NHIF cover. Where does that sit if you juxtapose it against going back to, let's go campaigning, wengine wachukue machungwa, wengine wachukue ndizi, we go back to campaigning for this and that side of the constitution.
And you see, all these things are good.
You have 30 seconds.
We need food and all that that you are talking about. But I've said here before, Moses Kuria, you have to fix the politics of the country. All else will follow in line. Last year was particularly bad for this country. And if these two gentlemen want to fix so that we don't have to go back to last year, we are almost tipping over, then they will have to fix the politics of this country. If in fixing the politics of this country, they will need to relook at the constitution, and which if in turn it will recall for a referendum, so be it.
Now,
even tomorrow, even yesterday.
Let me start where I want to.
We're out of time.
Moses, in the budget committee, we voted for money today to pay you lecturers, and because you asked me,
why haven't you said it?
No, we're not saying it because
he had told me.
How come everybody,
say it a little loudly,
including me,
30 seconds.
Me as a member of parliament,
yes.
I am submissive to SRC.
Yes.
Why can't lecturers be submissive to SRC? Why do you want special rules for yourself?
Yes,
you've given you the money. Is there
But if fixing politics, you can fix politics to destroy the country.
But good information to know that in the supplementary budget that there will be. How much what did you propose?
Let me not excite them for nothing.
How much is that?
Because Parliament has to pass the next Thursday.
That's okay.
My main point is, don't set salaries for yourself. It's
how much have you
which has
recommended
got
in
the
your
constitutional body. Well, let me not.
It's a secret between him and me.
And the Parliament.
Then in that case, we're out of time. We don't have secrets. Thanks for watching, everybody.
And thanks to Moses.
A wonderful weekend. We'll see what it amounts to, I suppose, once that is tabled. That's our time. Thank you, Moses Kuria, for coming on the show. Thank you, Manyora. Thank you, Prof. And thank you for watching. Good night, God bless.